when did you meet your husband and where?
2007. And I want to say I was at work one day. Me and my cousin Jeffrey were working together. And he just kept writing me on MySpace, I believe. Was that the one?
MySpace.
Or was it
Yes.
Black
Or
Planet?
was it Black Planet? It might have been MySpace.
I can't remember. This was like 2007. So
Okay.
so Jeffrey's like, write him back. So at this time he responded, he telling me what to say. Like we literally playing with him. Cause just not in wasn't into like the whole internet stuff. So um he continues to write and I started to reply. But it seemed authentic once we started talking. He's younger than me, and that was the first problem. I didn't like younger guys. The guy I had just gotten out of a relationship with, we had been together for a while, and we were the same age. We practically grew up together, like kindergarten or first grade up to through middle school. We started dating in middle school. So at this time, in my mind, I always thought I would end up with the other person, right? But he
Right.
did a couple of foul things, and then he returns and he says, "I'm ready to get married. We going because we had already been together for a while." And I was like, "No, I got a boyfriend, but I'm just playing." So he ends up living a block or two over from my mama. So we meet up, and we started hanging out. He has a personality. If you don't know him, like without me telling the story, you meet him and you'll think this is just a super good person. But nobody ever shows you anything up front. So he was so cool, but he wasn't my type or anything. Like his teeth was nasty. He had body odor. He didn't dress good. He was not what I was used to. But me with an open heart, you know how I am. If I could heal the world, I would. So I was open and honest with him, and I was like, um, what's stopping me from wanting to really date you is your body odor, your clothes, your teeth. And literally, he took all the clothes and gave them to his uncle and started from scratch. Like literally, like started from scratch with me, like picking the clothes out.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, he's cool. So he starts coming around me all the time, and it grows into a relationship. And I got ready to move into my place because I had just got done living with my best friend. Like we were roommates, and then we were going to transition into our own spaces. So he goes, "Well, I'm moving with you." And I was like, "No, I don't live with me and I don't want to live with a man. No, this time it's my time to live by myself." He came up with a bizarre story of how his family treat him and all kind of stuff about his family. He's already looking the way he looks, so I believed him. Because I'm thinking, how nobody in your family told you about these things? I don't know if that's just me, but as a friend, anything I want to tell you. So he was like, nobody never told me anything like that or whatever. So I started to help him fix it. And I think everybody around us started to notice. So when we started to figure out like we'll be a couple and stuff, people started coming to me like, ugh, what you doing with him? Oh, he was dirty in school. Oh, what you doing with him? And how did he get you? Literally, dudes, girls, like, what are you doing with him? And I have a heart. So I was like, no, he cool. It's okay. I started to look beyond that. I
Mm-hmm.
did tell him I was gonna kiss him till his teeth were fixed. Like it's like we just grew into the bond. And he had he had a lying problem then. I didn't know because when he started, you know, proposing like I'm moving with you, we battled it. I was like, no, I don't want to live with you. He like I can help you pay bills and all this stuff. I'm gonna pay the bills, and he was saying he made like $15 an hour, and at this time I'm like 21, maybe 22. So I'm like, that's a lot for us. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, maybe it can't be so bad, but I truly deep down inside didn't want to live with a man. Well, he never told his family like he asked me to move and he was moving. He didn't even tell them. This man just packed up all his stuff and left, and they blamed me. So for years I'm taking the heat of I wanted him to move. I didn't have I didn't want him to move with me. Nothing, you know? So I'm like, what they so mad at me for, you know? I didn't ask you to come here. So I think one day I ended up having a conversation with them or something because they were so intertwined with his life that I was gonna dump him. Like his mama would call, you need to come around here and put some ice in my cup. You need to come do this. Like it was just, and I'm like, I'm a grown ass woman. I You're like 3 years younger than me. You're 18, 19. If this is the type of hoe they got on you, you got to keep it moving. I'm 20, 21, 22, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. So when we first moved in or whatever, remember he said he make $15 an hour and all this stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I thought that for the longest until one day I seen a check stub and it said $9 an hour. I'm
I'm
young,
not-
cause me at 38, if I find some shit like that, I'm not you out of here. One lie, you got one lie with me.
right. That so I'm
So
glad you said that because there's definitely a difference between getting older, right?
a him
And
could never
grown.
get at me. Not for
Yeah.
that.
So okay, and you said that because this was one of the first lies that you remember now that you recall that you
Other
found.
than him tell, well, I didn't find out he didn't tell his family the truth for a while. That was like an ongoing beef with them. Like everybody I meet usually loves me, but these people they already had a bone to pick with me anyway because he was leaving the nest. That's the bone with me. But I'm like, I've been out since I was 18. I done had two apartments since before I got with you, you know? So I didn't worry about it, you know? So he told me like some bizarre ass shit about his family. How they treated him. He would get paid. They would take all his money and all of this stuff. And I'm like, well, dang, that's fucked up. Like, you're only 18, 19. Like, they're taking all your money. You don't get to do anything with it. That's what he said. Who knew years later he'd be running that same lie about me? So, okay, so fast forward. It's so many things I look back now that happened then that I didn't know he was this type of liar. So we moved from our first apartment, moving into our
Yeah.
second apartment, and my two little brothers. Now, mind you, he put this place in his name this time or whatever, and we move into it. So with it being in his name, I can't go to the office or anything, you know. So I'm giving him half of the rent though every month. So my brothers, they stay at the house. My little brother Jamar, he's passed away now, but he was there, and my brother that just got out, Keelan. They call me from, I'm at work, and they putting y'all stuff out. They putting y'all stuff out. Get home. I'm like, what? Like, well, why would they be putting our stuff out? I go get him. I race there. I get into a car wreck on the way there. By the time I arrive after the wreck and everything's outside. They said they evicted us for late fees. I can't really say. I really don't know if he was paying late or paying on time because it never appeared on his credit. So I don't know what that was about. But it's now that I'm looking back, it's suspicious because I gave you my half on time every month. Were you paying late? I don't know, but it was an eviction or whatever. So his sister comes and she load up his stuff and she say, "You coming back home with us?" And he's like, "No, I'm not." So he goes to my mom's house with me. And I find us another place. So we both put our name on the next lease. And it was in Lenexa at these townhomes. Um, Everything was cool then. He didn't even start stealing money at that point. So we lived in that townhome when we got married. He wanted to get married. He was adamant about getting married for whatever reason. I'm like, hey, I don't dream of picket fences, dogs, and I didn't even want no kids. I don't dream of these things. You don't have to marry me. He wanted to get married so bad. So I get married. And it's like soon as I get married, my ass start coming off. He was cool, but I feel like I overlooked a lot of stuff.
What year did you get married?
2010.
So 3 years later. And by now, you know that he's lied about how much he's made.
Yep, but I didn't. But I bypassed that because I
Right. I
was
just want to
thinking.
kind of, I want to point some of these things out because, like I kind of mentioned, and we're not going to really talk about my story, but I too was married to a narcissist, and I'm listening to some of these things, and they all are very familiar to me.
Lot about the family, how bad they treated him, um, how evil they were. I wasn't there. He always say I wasn't there watching him grow up. What I do know is I watched him like beg and plead for his dad to be like he was the only child by his dad. So they didn't really live nice. That's another thing that had turned me off about him because anybody that know me, I'm so particular with my housekeeping and stuff. So I still, yet again, I didn't worry about it. So our house was nice and clean and everything, nice stuff in it. It's clean. And it seems like his family, like his immediate family, they never want to come over. Like never. He used to cry, like be so upset, like, why won't my dad come and watch the game over here with me? But he always going out of town with a woman and all this stuff, basically putting women over his child. His dad passes away. All of a sudden he starts living in a dream. Like he always posting his dad, how great his dad is, what his dad's done for him. And it was so weird to me. And I was like, when his dad died, he tried to overdose on pills. He took a whole bottle of pills. And I had to revive him. Like I called 911. It was so scary. They gave me instructions on like giving them CPR and stuff. So I brought him back to life. He like went and stayed at the psych ward for like a week or two, and he's just sitting there not talking, like not saying anything. Right? I should have been gone then. That's the cue. Get out of there. But I was like just getting married, so you don't want to run yet, I guess, because my mama definitely told me because a week before our wedding, that's really when he started showing out. He got fired from his jobs months before the wedding, but I was so close with my boss at my job that she hired him in. A week before the wedding, we both get fired. And I'm like, why are we in this office? Oh, you stole credit cards, you paid bills? No, I didn't. I don't do that. So, no, I didn't. This man lied to everybody. Me, my mama, the managers, all this. Mind you, me and her was close. We still are to this day. And she always told me, she called me Sunshine. She was like, Sunshine, you didn't do this. I said, I didn't. I didn't take any cards. He took the cards and paid damn near every bill in our house that had my name on it. So they looking at me. They're saying I'm gonna be a felon. People pressing charges. He literally looked at my mama. I wouldn't do that. I didn't do nothing like that. I called the bills to get the recording. Back then, you can call and you be like, email me this recording. If you need to get something. So I asked for my phone call. I'm like, if it's me, let me see. Wasn't me. Okay, so who paid the bill from this phone number on this day? It was him. I took it and I turned it in because I'm not gonna be a felon for nobody. I gave it to them and still I didn't leave. I literally helped him get an attorney to fight the case. So it got expunged. I'm thinking, we've already spent all this money for a wedding. My mama like, fuck that. Don't get married. And I was like, but people bought plane tickets and everything. Like, at this point in time, people coming from out of town, I got to get married. I spent a lot of money.
Mm.
So we get married. Things seem cool or whatever. We find jobs. And I don't know. He just to me always done weird stuff. Like he started stealing money. He would take my debit card and like use it and put it back and then say he didn't do it. So we gonna get into it because who stole my money? It's to the point I was holding money for my brother in my dresser drawer. He stole that Swear to God, he didn't do it, but paid it back to me. But it's just me and him living in this house. Who took the money? He became really close with my nephew when my nephew was born, so that overshadowed a lot. It helped his image. He looked like a really good person because he was a very great uncle to my nephew. Potty trained him, taught him colors and shapes. We had him every week, until I moved to Texas. So that made me think that he would have been a great dad. So he grew close with my brothers. He was close to my family. They was giving him support that I never saw his family give. Come to find out now that they all been reaching out, they said he was the one on weird stuff with them. Cause I'm like, where they been at? He was the one on weird stuff. So mind you, he gets into it with one of his best friends, and the best friend writes a diss song about him. He was a rapper when I met him. He just wasn't a good rapper. That might be a reason for jealousy too. Now that I'm sitting here thinking, like, could have been jealous, for that reason too. So the friend makes a diss song on him, and everybody laughing at him. So I write a diss song for him to rap to the friend, and everybody immediately was on his team again. But that's how I was. Like anybody that stood against him, I stood with him. And 9 times out of 10, I'm the one behind the scenes handling the problem. So he worked and he paid bills, but it started to get weird because he would put locks on bills. So I can't just
Because
call the
what?
bill. He started to put locks on bills, passcodes, and uh,
Oh, so
yeah.
you didn't have access.
So I can't access it. So let's say I come home and the lights are out. He got 10 lives while the lights are out and they finna come back on. You didn't pay him. It got so weird that he would steal money and buy food, and like instead of throwing it in the trash, he would place the bowl in the closet. I done found like bowls of rice in the closet, cookies and milk under the couch, Subway in the drawer. And I was like, what the hell is with this? You know?
Mm.
But then again, it's like he came from an immediate family of hoarders. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is a trauma for him. He then started calling all my friends, making up lies. Uh, One mutual between me and you, I don't even want to say her name. She don't got nothing to do with this. All love to her. But me and her started to get into it and fall out because they were always talking on the phone. And I was like, I'm not cool with that. So when I know he was on BS, is because me and her was on the phone talking about it because I had got real upset, called her out her name, so we got on the phone to talk about it. When she told me the things he was saying to her, like, oh, he said you were abusive and all this stuff, he sat there quietly and didn't say two things, okay? When I hang up the phone with her, he wants to talk. She lying, this and that. I said, no, you would have defended yourself. You definitely would have let it be known while she was on the phone. So he didn't stop there. He starts calling my friend. Now, my friend is married. Why ain't you calling her husband if you need advice, right?
Right.
He starts calling her all the time. So we start going to their house, having meetings and stuff. And everybody looks at me. I'm the bad person because he has this squeaky clean background, right? And I'm not telling it all. So literally, right hand to God, there are no perfect people in the world. But this man can't account for shit that I've done to him. Now I might have retaliated, but initiated, I ain't ever did it. Okay?
I understand.
So I'm sitting there and I was like, why the fuck does everybody think it's me? He like, I don't know. I don't tell them that and all this shit. He starts trying to FaceTime her when I'm not around and some more stuff, right? Didn't stop there. I have my bro. He had a baby mama and I became friends with her. Starts calling her. Why you don't call my bro? He had a cousin that he grew up with, a friend that turned to cousin, whatever. He was always calling his woman. Why are you not calling him? Oh, he don't answer the phone. Yeah, he does. He called about 7 of my friends, telling them nothing but pure lies, okay? making stuff up that never happened. Come to find out, so many people are coming forward now. Like he's been that way his whole life. Like he just make up stories as he talks. That's a mental illness to me. Like literally, everybody that knows me knows the type of person I am. I literally put this person before myself. I literally made sure he was straight from every aspect of life. Okay. So I wanted no kids. After all of this is going on, stealing money, you're calling my friends and all of this stuff. I want out. I don't want to be married anymore. Oh no, we can fix it. He's good with words. Anything that come out of his mouth is actually a lie. There's not one thing that he can say to me that I believe. And he'll make it sound good, but I don't believe it. So I feel like he was gonna keep going until he struck a friend that would sit on that phone and be on bullshit with him. Come to find out, I'm talking to his mama. She tells me that his dad married her friend, right? So I immediately, it was mind blowing for me. He defended it and defended. No, he didn't. You need to quit listening to them. They be lying to you and all this stuff. I'm like, no. I go sit with his dad's sister. She confirmed it. She said,
Of course.
well, no, I don't know why. He said she was a slut. She was a slut. He married her and she did him bad and they moved to Texas and he got sent back to Kansas City. What is it striking for you? We moved to Texas.
Right.
He's in a relationship with my friend.
Wait a minute. When did you find this out about the dad marrying the friend and moving to Texas? When did you find that out?
I'm gonna give it 2014ish.
Okay.
2013, 2014, right when we were moving to Texas, right before we were moving to Texas.
Okay.
But then I'm thinking, all right, we get to Texas, it should be a fresh start. And don't get me wrong, by no means, it was not always all bad. Never.
Okay.
From my perspective, because I don't know what was the truth and what was a lie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was
That makes
happy.
a lot of sense.
So I grew really close to some of his cousins. And to this day, we still close. He going around saying he never wanted to be married and all this stuff. But then he'll say, they're lying. They trying to stir a pot with you. Why would I say that when I'm the one that wanted to get married? No shit, bozo. I didn't give a damn about no marriage. So literally, I don't know what it was because he started telling people that I don't want him around his family. I want him to be around my family more than he is. The people that had a relationship and was invited to stuff around was because of me. I had better relationships with his cousins than he did. So to tell people that, I was like, but I'm not asking you to be around my family. You don't have to. My family is huge. I don't give a damn if you rock with them or not because I'm going to always rock with them. You ain't better stop that. You don't have to come. We went to some of his family events because of me. He didn't want to go. I went. Granted, a lot of stuff I would have for him, they wouldn't come. So it kind of validated the stuff he was telling me, which they say to this day, it was lies. So fast forward, we get to Texas. Mind you, hold on, before we get to Texas, I met a girl, whatever, BV.
Yeah, let's stop real quick. Let me prelude that real quick, cause I remember when it first started popping off, and we kind of talked about it briefly some years ago, right? And it was still very new, I think, but I feel like you always had your speculations, your intuition about it. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I know about Capricorn, super calculated. So we're gonna put everything together first.
I'm a collecting. You can think I'm stupid and don't know what I'm talking about, but when I strike, you ain't gonna be able to handle it like they doing now. Like I'm doing now.
Super calculated. So before we talk about BV and Bubbles, so you've named this, and shout out to Risa Tisa with her Who Did I Marry series, right? Because I think that has really empowered and encouraged a lot of people to come forth, because it almost seems like a epidemic.
Yeah, these type of men, and it's like, damn, And before I even heard of her, I was talking with my cousin. I was like, I'm just finna start doing lives about it. And people would talk me down. No, everybody don't need to know. And I realized they can't tell me how to fuck to place my feelings. Cause the thing is, why I wanted to go live and stuff is because they was painting the town with my name and I didn't even know it. I knew
Oh,
nothing. Oh man, I'm a narcissist, I'm a manipulator, I'm a liar, I was a bad wife. How are you telling people I'm a bad wife when you only looking at this motherfucker because of me? Because had you seen him first, I guarantee you would have kept it moving. Guarantee you would have kept it moving.
hmm.
But don't speak on me as a bad wife because you was a terrible fucking wife. Ask that nigga how many niggas he caught me with. And ask your husband how many niggas he caught you with.
So before we say that, let's talk about this friend because we haven't introduced her yet to the audience, to the people. As you guys have already heard so far this far, um, she married someone who also was obviously a pathological liar, and has some other mental illnesses present. I'm assuming you guys, did you ever go to therapy? Was there ever an actual diagnosis? How did you discover that you were married to a
No. When we started therapy, it was in Texas, right at the end. And he literally came and sat on that couch and lied his ass off.
narcissist? Okay.
What was the point of coming though? You could have went the fuck on. Cause one thing about me, I'm not never gonna be pressed about no nigga saying
Mm-hmm.
you ain't have to waste the time.
Yeah, well, that's different. Okay, so I do want to discuss how you came to the terms of him being a narcissist. But before we do that, let's talk about this friend. Because that is the thick of this,
Yeah.
right? And the fact that Texas, you're from Missouri, right? You're from
Yeah.
here.
Yep. Met her in Missouri. She's from
Okay,
Detroit though.
okay. So
Michigan,
lady from
whatever
Detroit.
part.
Okay, so BB from Detroit, you meet her in Missouri. When do you meet her?
I met her in 2010, a week after my wedding. Cause remember we got fired from the job. But remember I was close with my boss. So her husband had her then husband. She has a whole new husband. She told me hers was her narcissist too. So, but her husband at the time had a whole collection agency. He started at a law firm. So it's a law firm. So she's dressed business casual. She's a pretty girl. She has her hair. She got her family photos on her desk. I still didn't want to be friends. She's going out of her way, damn near every day to be everywhere I'm at, trying to be my friend. And I'm telling him like it's a girl at work and she's really fucking weird. I don't want to be cool with her. I don't know what it was. I don't. My spirit would not align. I was like, I don't want to be cool with her. So I switched jobs. I fine because one of the supervisors went over to I don't know if you ever heard of AMG Services or COK Management.
Hmm.
So he was like, I got this job and make buku money. Come on over here with me. And then I had a homegirl I worked at with the place where um actually no, the manager didn't get me there. My homegirl did, where he stole the credit cards from. She just
Right.
reached out to me. This time Facebook popping. She said, Keisha, I got a job for you that makes a lot of money. And I'm like, okay, cool, because I'm at this law firm, they ain't paying much. She gets me on. I go to that job. About 30 days later, I see a boss from the law firm pop up. He brings BV with him, right? Why you do that? I made my lunch. I made my lunch. BV sit down at the lunch table with me. Started talking. Never left. Was my friend ever, but I still would not hang with her outside of work. I even shot the video with Rasheeda. We were friends then. I didn't take her because I didn't want to be on them terms with her. She
Hmm.
going out of her way to buy me stuff. My birthday come, she's buying me all kind of stuff for my birthday. She's showing up everywhere. I remember I had a birthday dinner and they came late. It was her then husband, and his sister. Now, anybody know me know I got a bunch of friends. So it's packed at the table. This woman let her husband go sit at the end of the table. She just pulled up a chair and squoze in, like to sit next to me. I'll bullshit you not. My friends drove me about that for the longest. Like, what's wrong with her? Didn't see it then. Wasn't too much outside of work with her that much. So
Mm-hmm.
I ended up agreeing to hang out with her for her then husband's birthday. After I was going to a Little Kim concert, I still never seen Little Kim live. This was the night I was going to see Little Kim. So my brother was bugging me like, "Can he borrow my car? Can he borrow my car?" And I'm like, "No." So I'm going down the stairs and I have on some Aldo wedges. I'll never forget. He said, "Can I borrow your car?" I turned around and I said, "No." And I fell and broke my leg. It went so fast that I remember I was falling frontwards, but I ended up sideways. But I heard it snap like, so my foot was just like stuck to the side. So and obviously now I'm not going to hang out or going to the concert. I go to the
Wow.
hospital, yeah, and I was like, I'm still going to see Little Kim. And they was like, well, put this on. It was like go all the way to my thigh, a boot. So I bust out crying. I done gave the tickets to my mama them. So I text her and I'm like, yeah, I can't make it tonight. I broke my leg. So by the time she done partying, she hit me up, what really? All this stuff. So I ended up still going to work. I never miss work. So he would get me out the car with my crutches, take me inside, and she would be downstairs waiting for me. And she would get me upstairs and get me to my desk.
Mm-hmm.
She'd check on me all day, make sure I had my food for lunch, and I would hold my pee all day because I was just so embarrassed. So eventually I couldn't hold it anymore. So she started to take me to the bathroom. So I'm like, dang, I started to feel bad. I'm starting to feel indebted to her. Like, dang, she doing all of this and my friends ain't even really doing nothing. So I ended up going into surgery finally. I came out of the surgery room and she was sitting there with her daughter. And I was so angry. Because remember, I didn't want to be friends like that for real. So I'm thinking, where's all the people I hang with already? Like, why she here?
Mm.
So that's how we bonded. I was like, all right, when I get on my leg, it's gonna be me and you, we gonna kick it. And we started kicking it. And it was cool. So I started to be around her and her crowd. It was 99% from Michigan because they all worked at the General Motors plant. So I know nothing about like people. My cousin was pressing me like, you need to hang with her over your other friend because she's married. You need married couples around you. So
Right.
I'm walking into that and it's a fucking disaster. It took me years to figure it out that these are not real friends. Motherfuckers cheating, all kind of shit. This was never healthy for me. It wasn't like super solid ass marriages. So
Right.
so they
Some
had a chance.
anything goes.
I didn't know. And prior to that, outside of like the money shit and all that, me and him were good. So I wasn't used to like the toxic shit because all my friends are single. And they treated him like a bro. Like my closest ones, they've never sat on the phone with him. Like most of them, he never called.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hanging out with them and I'm spending holidays with them, and it's supposed to become like a little family. I got acquainted with her kids, like we became close. So her then husband was like, "We got to move on to Texas," because they never meant to be in Kansas City. It wasn't enough space in Texas, I guess, at that plant. So he was like, y'all should come. And I was like, you know, I talk it over with Bubbles. He said we don't got nothing to lose. So I still didn't tell her, right? She giving a hard time on moving. And I was like, you're not even from here. Why you won't move? She doing all this crying and shit. Oh, because you won't be there. So I was like, cool, I'm going. Now you can move. So now she's excited and now we can move. The first red flag that I probably should have noticed is her husband had went ahead of time and he's getting their home ready for them and he has to report to work already. I'm having a go away party. Mind you, I'm leaving my family and I'm close with my family. And my mama's already upset because I'm leaving on account of this girl.
What year
So
was this?
2014.
Okay.
My mom, now prior to this, me and her hadn't had no falling out or nothing. So so she didn't really have a priority to be at my going away party. Everybody looking at me like, well damn, where's the girl you leaving with?
Right. That's a little, yeah. Yeah.
So she,
Right.
oh, the kids they're feeling this way because their dad is gone, this and that. But when it's time to party and club and shit, it's not a problem. So that's the first red flag. Another red flag. Right before we move, this the first red flag. Before we move, right?
Hmm.
I took her to a different video shoot with me in Atlanta with my manager. She kept wanting to sit in the back seat. It was me, my husband, my brother, my cousin. She kept wanting to ride in the back seat. And I'm like, get in the front seat. That's all dudes. Leave them back there. She
Right.
kept finding her way to the back seat. I look back, she riding with her head in my cousin's lap. I'm like, what the fuck? You need to get in the front seat because she's married, right?
I hear
So,
you.
so I don't think nothing of this shit, okay? I'm still like, she like, I'm just resting my head, this and that. You're married though. That's not acceptable. But I'm thinking like, don't you only know him from me? Like, how you this comfortable? So we go to Atlanta, we come back, her husband like, well, who went with y'all? So I tell him. So the way he's talking is kind of like I know something. And then when he figures out I don't know nothing, he like, oh, okay, never mind, don't say nothing. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. I left it alone. Left it alone. I go back to Atlanta, me and Bubbles, to visit my friend. My cousin that rode with me the first time, his best friend. So he tells me that they were talking, right? The duo, my cousin and her. I said, I don't know nothing about that. He like, yeah. So I call my cousin. He sends me every message that between them and all that. So I could see who the aggressor was, and it was her. I called her immediately. I was like, I'm done. Like, what type of shit is this? You messing with my cousin. I said, you a liar. I'm sorry. No, she says, you're out of town. When you get back, we can talk. So Monday comes, I'm at work. She says, I'm sorry. That's how she opened the message. And I was like, what are you sorry for? We haven't talked about anything yet. You said I might have lied about something and I might have. I'm sorry. So we go into why she's sorry. She said she's talking to my cousin. She tries to pin everything on him. Oh, he was sending me flowers. He was doing this. He was doing that. And I tell her immediately, like, no, I seen the messages. Well, who keeps those? And why would he give you those? For reasons like this. You're trying to pin it on him. However, you knew that you were married. So she goes into the whole spiel. She always crying. She crying and she's so sorry and all this. So any normal person, they really sorry and they don't do shit like this again. You know? She's like, I'm just having trouble in my marriage and he was there for me and all that. I left it as that. This is my cousin. I leave it at that. I threw her a 30th birthday party. Me and her other friend that she fell out with just a few weeks ago. So we throw her a 30th birthday party. She invites my cousin. This is right before I figured out they were talking. She had my cousin shake her husband's hand, like, you got him at the party and y'all been talking. Is that not cold blooded?
I'm not here to judge.
Shit. Let me talk to Jesus. Can I have a moment of judgment?
Hey, yeah, go for it.
That should have been something for me. But she's a manipulator. She cries. She had a way with her words. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe people go through stuff in their marriage. Okay, I'll give her that. We get to Texas. She don't come by and see where I moved to or none of this shit. She don't stop by. She don't do none of this shit. This motherfucker went got new friends. Said, fuck us. We don't got nobody in Texas. So I started to realize I did have people in Texas and I started to link with them. And I realized my bro lived across the highway, literally walk across the highway. That was his apartments. So I
Wow.
started to fuck with my Kansas City people, and build my own because I moved here with you, but it's fuck us. So we started falling out in Texas. We never did that in Kansas City. So we falling out now because you got time for everybody but us, but you took me from my fucking comfort zone. So you can be comfortable, but then when we get here, it's you comfortable. So I catch them texting one day because we have to go right back home maybe a year later. Me and her done fell in and out all year for the shit that she doing. And General Motors called him in Kansas City, so I had to go home. Well, she's a person you gotta talk to every day, all day, or you gonna fall out with her. So she had just text me for the morning. I'm talking to her. He gets off his night shift, come in. He falls asleep with the phone in his hand. I see him texting with her. I said, what the fuck could y'all be talking about? And I was just talking to her. Why are y'all texting? You know? So we all get into it, and it's supposed to be deaded right there. Like, we clearly know that between this trio, you two ain't supposed to talk. Oh, I'll never do that again. I still got the messages. I'll
Yeah,
never
that's
do that
boundaries
again.
for sure.
So I'm like, okay, I give her a chance. So he stole some money. First off, he stole money from my account. So I moved out and went back to Texas, right? Because at this time I got my people down there. I got my own circle now.
Right.
His cousin is down there, but it's my cousin. So I go
Okay.
and I stay with him. I stay in my friend's house. I have a couple of friends' house I was staying at, and my cousins. I was like in between till I discovered I'm about to stay at my cousin's house. So she and her husband were going out of town, and I had to watch the kids. So I go home first to Kansas City, and most of my stuff was still there. I'm getting stuff. Of course, he's my husband. I'm there with him. I'm sick the entire time that I'm there. But I'm thinking I drank some bad liquor or something because I was out partying with my cousins. I'm throwing up. I get back. I still can't eat meat. I'm still nauseous and all this stuff. So he like, go get a pregnancy test. I get a pregnancy test, and I go to her house to watch her kids. I take the test on FaceTime, and I'm pregnant. And I was so upset at being pregnant. I'm not even gonna stunt with you. I was so mad because I was exiting, you know?
Yeah.
So he wanted to do the doctor's appointments and stuff. So I ended up moving back home. I moved back home. We do the doctor's appointment. Stuff is going cool. He steals money again. And at this point, I'm livid because at this point, I got to prepare for a baby. So we get into it. That passes. I have the baby. She turns 2 or 3 months, maybe 2 months. My mama comes and get her for the day or whatever. I'm at work. I get off work early. I don't know what I was looking for in my phone records, but I ended up being on his number and not mine. And I'm like, wait, this ain't mine. But this reoccurring number is there all day, right? Who the fuck is you talking to all day? I dial this number. Swear to God, it's a man sounding like a woman. But you know how you could tell the change of the voice. So as soon as she's talking to me, I'm like, this is a dude. That ain't no dude. This and that. Yeah, it is. So I blacked out because in my mind, this is a dude. He stole my debit card, sent this dude. Well, she's identifying as a woman, so sent her some shoes, some clothes, uh, pizza,
With your money?
with my money. With my money. When I tell you I blacked out, just know somebody had some fractured ribs. I blacked out. I went berserk. My mama saved his life that day. Saved his life. I went so berserk because I didn't want to be with you. I didn't want to be a mom. Not with you, you know. And you begged me to keep this baby, and as soon as she get here, you get on bullshit. Because if you wanted a man, you could have went and did just that. So I sit down, we talk about it. He swears he doesn't, this not a dude, right? I'm like, all right, I start trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. We go on a trip with my family to Vegas. I got to work, so I leave out early. He stayed, his best friend stayed, everybody stayed but me. Check my phone records. He's talking to that same number all day again, right? I started doing my research. I look it up. Long and behold, she posts my transformation. But from the pictures that I looked up, I looked at it and knew it was a man. I said, this is a man. I sent it to her. I still got the messages. So I'm like, I gotta get away from him. I know what I am. I know my sexuality, this and that. I typed that number in on Google. It was a picture of him with his shirt behind his neck. It said a gay photographer in Overland Park, Kansas. It was on back page. He was attached to a male gay escort service. some other gay sites. He swear he took pictures from somebody and they got upset about their pictures and posted him all over the internet as gay.
Mm.
I said, nah. So I've really fully, never really fully recovered from that. It's always been in the back of my mind.
Did you get an HIV test?
I've had HIV tests. I'm good from
Yeah,
every
no,
angle.
I'm just asking because I mean, and
Yeah,
STD test, all of that because it's just real. And wow, I'm so sorry. That's a lot. And you and I understand you said it's still in the back of your mind. Um, like when it's in the back, like what are the thoughts that you think? What happens
if
when
I
that
get
happens?
into it with him, I would bring it up because he would do some of the most ornery shit. He stole my money. I switched banks and different debit cards and hid stuff. Like it gets old. Like how many times can I change how I keep my money? So at this point, I'm like, I got my debit card. How's money still missing? It was to where money was withdrew from Walmart. Walmart on my card, like cash back. And I was like, how? I haven't been to Walmart. This man sat next to me at the bank and said it was fraud on my card. I called one of the restaurants on there and they was like, oh, that's our customer Bubbles.
Is that where the name came from?
Now the name came from her telling her kids not to call him by his real name because everybody's
That's
gonna
right.
know
That's right. I remember that part in
bubble
the
head
story.
ass nigga.